With us now is John Piccinini, and he is here to talk about real estate law. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Donna. Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I love the way that you taught me how to say your name. So it's Pitch
Nini.
Nini.
Yep, right. Pitch Nini.
Nini.
It was a tough one growing up.
Well, it's wonderful, and it's great to have you here today. So you decided to go to Toro for law school,
That is correct.
but you didn't really exactly know what specialty you were going to go into.
No, when I started law school, I knew I was interested in the law. It was something that I've always had an interest in. I remember actually as a child watching the O.J. Simpson case.
Oh, okay.
And my grandfather was watching us as our babysitter, which probably most 10-year-olds shouldn't be watching. But that's what we did, and that's what sparked my interest. And I kind of set up my educational background with college to go to law school.
You'd be amazed. A lot of people have that story where they either watched a film or they watched a television show and that inspired them for their career.
Yep.
So for me, it was an old movie called Kramer versus Kramer, and the guy worked at an ad agency, and I saw him open up his portfolio and I was like, oh, that's cool. And it was in that moment I decided to go into advertising design and commercial art, and everything just grew from there. So don't feel embarrassed that that's what inspired your love of law.
Well, the OJ case probably wasn't the best, but
Yeah,
it worked
what
out.
what an intense time that was for everyone. I mean,
it was.
I think everybody was glued to the whole entire process. So you went to Taro and you graduated, and then you got a job in real estate law, or where?
So I was working at a real estate law firm where they practice litigation, transactional, and foreclosure work. So I started out in the litigation department and transactional department of their foreclosure.
Okay.
Over time, I was handling both, and I realized I had more of an interest in the transactional work. So that's where I directed my career and ambitions.
So when you're selling your house, a lot of times the realtor will recommend an attorney. But are you allowed to work with all different real estate agents? Can people pick their own title insurance and pick their own attorney?
Absolutely. So a lot of times realtors will have preferred attorney that they know that they work with, that they're comfortable with, that helps make the deal go smoother. It's just a working relationship. But any buyer or seller, they absolutely have the right to pick any attorney that they feel is competent, that could handle the transaction. The one thing that I will say is make sure that person is a real estate attorney.
Okay.
You do not want a personal injury or criminal justice attorney because it's your uncle handling your real estate deal. I'm sure they could figure it out, but over time, there's little bumps and bruises that go along in a deal that someone that practices this for a living could easily handle versus someone that they're picking it up for their niece or nephew, and they're not really the best at handling those things as they come up on the fly.
Speaking of things that come up on the fly, what's the funniest thing that you ever saw somebody try to add into a real estate contract, in your opinion?
The funniest thing, and this was really strange, the sellers just refused. I'm sorry, it was the buyers.
Okay.
They wanted the walls painted purple in one of the rooms.
Before they moved in?
Before they moved in, they wanted it in the contract. It was one of those things like, guys, this just can't happen. Like,
Right.
I hope this isn't a deal breaker. It wasn't a deal breaker. I think they were kind of just messing with me a little bit.
Right.
But I went and asked the attorney, and the other attorney, she just laughed at me, and we had a good laugh about it, but it was odd.
That is odd. Yeah,
it was very odd.
So it doesn't always have to be boring real estate law. It
No.
could, sometimes there's going to be like things in there, and it seems to me that it's such an emotional time for both a seller and a buyer that sometimes the emotions get the best of them.
So we're part real estate law attorney / therapist.
Okay.
Is what it comes down to. We're in constant communication with our clients. We talk to them sometimes several times a day, sometimes once a week. But there's open communication at our firm where you're dealing directly with me. So it's not just the paralegals that you're working with where you never speak with the attorney, you work directly with me. So I really get to know my clients, and you get to know the ups and downs of a transaction. Some transactions are extremely smooth, and it's just a great experience. And some, there's just problems. Maybe there's a mortgage problem where they're having trouble with financing. Maybe we're on the buy side, and the seller is just very difficult, not
Right.
agreeing to, not handling what they agreed to in the contract on, say, a repair rider, things like that. So that's where you get your ups and downs.
Now, I know you recently moved to Rockville Center,
Yes, I
and
did.
that's where your office is too. Did you handle your own?
Yes, I did.
How did that go for you?
It was great,
Okay,
actually.
good.
I worked with another attorney. Just so happened the other attorney on the other side of the deal was a guy that I worked with for years. So it was a really good experience. My wife got to see what I do for a living.
Aw.
She you don't really see firsthand what sometimes what your spouse does if they're not in the business. And since she's not in the business, she actually got to see me at I would hope my best on that transaction.
Well, congratulations, happiness to you, and continued success to you and your family. And Rockville Center is a great place, to dine. So, and they do have family-friendly dining. So, but thank you very much for joining us today, John.
Of course, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and hopefully maybe will be your forever home.
I hope so.
Thank you. Stay tuned for more. We've been living it up right here with John Piccinini. Thanks for watching.